Now we have our next speaker, who certainly needs no introduction these days. She is well known, our vice president and technology master, and many, many other things, and a close personal friend, Ms. Muthu Singhvi, who will talk to us about something that we often lose sight of, and that is diversity. We take organization as one unit, everybody's the same, thinks the same. But no, organizations are made of various diversity, various issues. And I would now request Muthu, Vice President AICB, and of course, by profession, as we all know, she is a manager in uh, Bank of India, formerly she was in Allahabad Bank, which has now merged, and a wonderful resource for AICB and for the visual impairment sector to now speak on diversity. Muthu, you could speak for around 20 minutes, so 5 minutes or so for the questions, and then we have the next speaker. Yeah.
Good afternoon to all of you. It's been a great privilege for me to deliver a talk on diversities in organization. So thank you, Aneja sir, for the nice introduction about me. So as Aneja sir said, like an organization is collective of individuals. So they formed an organization working for the common goal. So in these organizations, as sir says, we have diverse people. We have people from various states, religion, and gender, and we have youth, children. So now I would like to confine myself to gender, because like now it's high time that visually impaired women should be of paramount importance in every organization, especially an organization working for the empowerment of visually impaired women. So I thought I will share some of the important things where how a visually impaired woman can be actively take part in the organization. When I say this, I remember one statement made by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. He says that a true condition of the nation can be ascertained by seeing the actual status of women. I think that applies to the organization who's working for the blind people also. So it is very important to see like how actively visually impaired people are taking part in their day-to-day activities of the organization, especially. When I say participation, there is a difference between participation and actual participation. It reminds me of one incident. It happened 2-3 years back. When I was at home, there was a, I think, panchayat election. So one lady was about to, she was going to contest. So 3-4 people came and they asked for vote for her. And I was asking my mother, I like you told that some lady is contesting, but I could hear the voice of only men. Where is she? My mother was saying she was greeting us by gestures. I was just asking, by the time I asked, they left. So I was just asking within myself, like, she is going to contest, and why can't she talk? Even if she is not able to ask for her votes now, how is she going to address, at least, how is she going to address the concerns of women? So I think this is what is very important, which we need to look into it. There is a difference between a mere participation and an actual participation. So now it's high time that visually impaired women should be encouraged to take part actively. They should be encouraged to be an active contributor in their active organizations. It's not that just we get women members. It's not that we do some activities, we do have projects, we have some fundings. So most important thing is that they should be involved in decision making, and they should be learn to lead themselves. Even I have come across many comments. Even now people would say like, I've been coming across, women are not interested, women are not active, they are not utilizing the opportunities, women are lazy. So all those things, like when the discussion takes place, all those things, I heard it from many people. But I think we need to, it's not, I think I have attended many workshops on behalf of AICB, and I got an opportunity also to organize many workshops for women on behalf of AICB. So what I have realized is, oh, for all these things, for all these blames, there are reasons. There are reasons because, uh, like in a country like India, generally women without disability, even now they are underrepresented. Even now they are marginalized. Even now they are suppressed. And especially when it comes to taking part in other activities, taking part in other extra activities, taking part in organization work, they are judgmental in different ways. So as it is said in United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, women with disabilities are multiple marginalized, doubly marginalized. So you can think that, like, so they are doubly marginalized. And generally when you take up the family, it starts from the family. In even in families they are underrepresented. So we can say even men are underrepresented, visually impaired men. But when it comes to women, as a visually impaired person, I'm saying women are, I think, doubly, triply underrepresented. So it is very important that as an organization working for the empowerment of visually impaired people, we need to address these concerns, because parents, because most of the visually impaired girls, they live in rural areas. So we cannot, it's not an easy task to educate the parents about the decision making of the visually impaired, like girls or independency. And most of us stay in schools, in residential schools. Most of us stay in institutions. So I think the schools and the institution, we have to shoulder the responsibility to make visually impaired women as leaders. So I would say we have to conduct many more activities. Even when we take up AICB activities, AICB, we have been conducting lot of activities for the empowerment of visually impaired women. We have a intensive training program which includes karate, judo, all day daily living skills, cooking, personality development, language skills, computer training. And we have a scholarship program. And more importantly, we have exclusive and mainstream workshops which is exclusively conducted for visually impaired women. We have advocacy training for visually impaired women. We have reproductive rights for visually impaired women. So we have all these kind of workshops. All these, the purpose of all these projects is not to do any welfare activity, or it is not a scheme activity. The purpose of these activities is to make the visually impaired girls, the visually impaired women as real leaders. These are the tools. Even some of them asked what these kind of like 2-day workshops or 1.5-day workshops, what change it will bring. But as a participant and as an organizer, I would say definitely it will make a lot of revolutionary changes in the lives of the visually impaired women. Because I would say, me as an example, I did law, but I seem to be confident, but I know I was not a confident person within myself before joining AICB, because I didn't have the courage to talk for me. In fact, I didn't have the courage in my college days. I didn't have the courage to talk, to ask questions in English to my professors. So it is why I'm saying all those things. It is only the organizations working for the empowerment of women. So only the organization who can make visually impaired women as real leaders. And this will not change in a single day. As I have said, like many of us have come from rural areas, many of us come from different background, different challenges. So it will take time, but we have to keep on encourage visually impaired women. First, it is very important that we should make them realize their potentials. Potential doesn't mean that every woman needs to talk on the stage, every woman should lead the group, every woman should conduct workshops. It's not that. In their capacity, within the given opportunity, what a small, even a small contribution will help them to come up with flying colors. That is the experience I have. Even like, because when we have when we are conducting workshops close group, when you talk to these people, they have enormous potential within their given opportunity. They have lot of questions, they have lot of things to say, and they have lot of challenges to share, and they have lot of desire to achieve, like they have lot of desire to come up as a leader in their organization. Just there are external as well as internal challenges which is hindering many visually impaired girls to become a leader. So first thing is, we need to, it's very important, many of the organizations, we have schools, so it's the training should start, the opportunities should begin from the school itself. And another thing I would see, if a visually impaired woman, like they have to take part in an organization work, they have to, if they want to take an active role, if they are expected to play an active role in organization, visually impaired women needs to be trained in mobility. Because unless and until you have a good mobility, because an organization, we may need to travel, to conduct a workshop, we may need to travel to participate in a workshop, we may need to travel to address our concerns to the government, we may need to, like, so for everything, for we need to be self dependent, for which mobility is very, very important for visually impaired women. Because till earlier I don't use stick, so I could not go anywhere wherever I want to, I could not attend meetings. But once I started to use the stick, I could just go wherever I want to, I could just participate, I could just deliver whomever has called me to deliver a lecture. So for a visually impaired women, I think every organization should give mobility training before giving other trainings and other schemes. So this is very important. And I think we have to have a AICB. There is a there is a condition that for a general body meeting, we invite 5 delegates from each organization. So of which at least 2 should be from visually impaired women. So I think in every organization should adopt this. Then only visually impaired women, first we can encourage them, we can identify them to take part in the general body. And so then slowly they can be involved in decision making processes, and they should be involved in policies, they should be involved in, because in, I think AICB, in the AICB office, we 3 ladies and 4 ladies, so we are all like active in one or the other way. So we are trained to be independent. We are trained to be independent in managing, independent in conducting trainings. So again, I would say it won't happen overnight. It comes slowly. Even Colser would say you can learn by mistakes. So slowly we can learn. And another important thing is to train them on self-advocacy, which is very, very important. Many a times people speak for visually impaired girls, but there should be a visually impaired women should be encouraged to talk for themselves. For example, if there is any issue which we need to talk to a government for visually impaired women, please try to send these girls themselves. Just let them go and train themselves to talk. Because if like, I'm not saying no men should go, but if sometimes no, if men goes, like sometimes girls do not talk, so try to send them independently, train them to go and talk for themselves. Like always Anil Aneja sir would say, when I joined the organization, if you cannot do self advocacy for yourself, you cannot do advocacy for others. Sir, I'm realizing this of late, I'm realizing the powerful statement now, the importance of this powerful statement. Even I would say, because of my involvement in the organization, because I got an opportunity to be with blindness sector, I could oppose the marriage against my wish. If I'm not active in any of the organization, definitely I wouldn't have been have the courage to oppose the marriage against my wish. So for anything, for decision making, for independency, for addressing your issues, for addressing the discrimination, visually impaired people, because every time nobody can talk for themselves. They need to be trained to talk for themselves. For that, they need to do self-advocacy. So please train them on self-advocacy, and include also certain self-defense techniques, because they need to travel like for everything. So just train them on karate, judo. I think TAB also has the training. So train them on the self-advocacy and skill development. Skill development is another important area. They need to be skilled to engage in organization activities. And nowadays, many of them are using technology, but even now in rural areas, people are still lagging behind technology. So I think organizations, we should identify the problems in grassroots level of the visually impaired women. Women who are in cities, who live in cities, they are surviving to an extent, and they are coming to organization, they learn. But there are still many girls who are lacking opportunities. So if they are given opportunities, definitely they can also excel in their life. So give them technology training, give them like how to respond to people in through email, ask them to access through email, ask them to encourage them to actively participate in, because nowadays lot of online workshops are happening. So kindly try to encourage them to participate in lot of activities. And I would say, my experience, please don't uh, pass judgments about women when they are actively involved in organizational activities. Even I think before my marriage, many of them told my husband that don't marry her, because she's very actively involved in organizations. She would travel here and there. She will not be she will not be a suitable person for family. Please get rid of that attitude. First thing, that why can't we take care of home activities as well as organization, and second thing, why a woman alone should take care of the home responsibility. So please, it's my request, because I have come across these many statements. So kindly don't pass judgments against visually impaired women. And finally, I would say, give them communication training, how they should communicate to the government, to the people, to the donors, and how they should communicate their issues. Because when we conduct workshops, initially people, they hesitate to communicate the issues they are facing. But when we encourage, they come out like anything, they address everything. So train them to communicate both orally and written, and that is very, very important. So give them opportunities as many, that will only make them as a that will only help them to come up as a leader. More and more opportunities. And I would say to my visually impaired girls, that in my experience, please don't listen to the criticisms. If when we listen to the criticisms, we cannot grow. We need only opportunities. And even our Secretary General Kaul sir would always say, when you are criticized by people, I think you do something innovative. When you're doing something at least. And when people are not talking about you, you're not doing anything. So if you are criticized, just think that you're doing something constructively. And for women, it is very, very important, because given that this cultural discrimination and cultural bias, even if we work also, many a times women are not acknowledged, women are not recognized to the extent they are working. So leave alone the criticism. And one more thing, please tell women that they cannot, it is impossible to make everybody happy. So this is the statement I want to make. So give them the right opportunity, give them the right empowerment, and make them as real active leaders who can contribute, who can lead themselves, and also who can lead others, and who can lead you in the organization. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Muthu. Things I want to say. One, that Muthu's topic is diversity. Women, of course, is one important area of representation. But I requested her to cut short because of shortage of time. But whatever applies on the participation of women, would also apply on other diversities like youth. And these days we have other factors coming in. We should be aware of those. Like the third gender is recognized as officially as a transgender or third gender. How do you know there are no visually impaired persons in that gender? Perhaps a thought on that also. How do we know there are people with various orientations, personal orientations, professional orientation, even that diversity? So if you have any questions on that, she'll be happy to answer.
Has raised hands.
Raja.
Arangaraja.
Okay, good afternoon. Many organizations also locking the visually impaired women's participation. You know, Agrika? Are you agree?
So, no, he's trying to say that many organizations, they are hindering the participation of visually impaired women.
Yeah, that's why we have the lecture today. That's why we have the lecture today to motivate everybody to ensure the participation.
Yeah. It is the duty of like organization like us, Raja, to motivate them and to take out the women like out of that, and they should be encouraged and they should be they should be made to realize their responsibilities, and that is what self advocacy. And I think more importantly, they should be made to aware of their rights. What rights do they have for them and in the organization? So that is how we can also encourage them to come out of that, and they can be an active contributor in the organization.
And again, I would say all diversities, youth, and even other diversities, because there are other factors coming in now, transgender, people with different orientations. Everybody should be included, in your work. Only then you'll be a holistic organization. Right. Thank you, Muthu.